I'm sure maybe some people could just sit around and watch television or play video games or just lie back on a beach all day long. Hello everyone, this is Ronan Blue, and here just taking a walk outside like I usually do. And today's topic, I thought I'd bring up some of the things that you need to consider when moving abroad. But a lot of people actually consider going abroad for a number of different reasons, just because they want a different environment for themselves, and also the cost of living as well. It's usually, on average I would say, a little bit more inexpensive to live abroad, depending on the country that you choose. Like you can choose a place that's really exotic, as an example, a place that's super warm or has a beach, or maybe you like the mountains. There's a number of different places you can choose from, and there's also a number of different countries that are really eager to welcome you to their country. They have some pretty good programs out there in Latin America and also in Asia. In Latin America, they have the Pensionado program, and in Asia, yeah, there's a whole bunch of different retirement programs, like in Thailand and also in Malaysia. Malaysia is actually a country we're interested in going to, but they have what's called the Malaysia My Second Home program. If you're interested, just check out my other vlog there, the 8 best reasons to retire to Malaysia, where I break down all of the things that might make you consider retiring to Malaysia yourself. But here are some points that I've come up with. There's probably a good 10 points, I would say, just for some points that you need to consider when moving abroad. So the first point when considering moving abroad would be to determine how much money you actually need. So what we follow is a calculation called the 4% withdrawal rule. So essentially how that works is you calculate out your entire year's expenses, and then you multiply that by 25, and it would give you a good lump sum of how much you would need in retirement or early retirement. And after you calculate that out, you basically figure out 4% of what you can withdraw. But of course everyone's lifestyle is different, but it's a good guideline to follow, the 4% rule. Like there's some people who live a frugal lifestyle, like we do temporarily for now, but there are those who live a more mediocre lifestyle, and those who choose to live a very rich lifestyle. It all depends on how much you save. Just calculate that 25 times your annual expenses, and it should give you a rough idea of how much you'll need there overseas. So another point you want to consider when moving abroad is also the medical costs. Like there's a number of different options out there. Well, the first one that comes to mind would be travel insurance, but there's also private insurance as well. So you can get that before you even take off for a country of your choosing abroad, or you can get insurance there in country. We did some brief research on that, but you can get away with paying around $50 to $100 per person per month for travel insurance. So it really depends on your situation there. But of course there's the option of paying out of pocket as well. I've actually heard in Ecuador and also Panama, you can probably pay out of pocket for a doctor's visit from around $25 to $50 a visit. But a lot of the medical institutions abroad are actually on par with the rest of the world. I mean, I'm talking about private hospitals. The public institutions I'd rather stay away from, just because of the long lineups that you'll probably experience. But for the private hospitals, they're pretty good on average. The physicians there have training from overseas, probably in Europe and the United States. So in the waiting period for any of your medical requirements won't take that long for you to get. Have what's called medical tours as well. So some people actually, instead of paying back home where it's a lot more expensive to have a particular surgery, they just go overseas, and it's probably 1/3 the cost. Another point you want to look at would be basically the cost breakdown of how much you'll be spending in a particular country. But you'll need to look at the groceries, the electricity, the transportation, a whole bunch of other costs. Cell phone service as well. But there's a number of different resources you can find over the internet, like my channel as well, where I talk about the different costs of living in separate countries. I've done a review roughly on about 30 different countries. But there are a number of resources you can refer to, such as Reddit and also Numbeo as well. I actually like Numbeo because on average, if you pull up a particular country of your interest, you'll see that there's about 5,000 contributors, meaning that those people who are actually living there just give you a breakdown of how much they're paying. But like I mentioned before, everyone's cost of living is different. There are certain emergency costs you have to be prepared for as well. Like there might be some emergencies where you have to go back home. And another thing you have to really think about would be the purpose of your life going forward. Like I'm sure maybe some people could just sit around and watch television or play video games or just lie back on a beach all day long. I mean, some people could do that, but then I think the majority of us want some sort of further purpose in their lives. So that's another point you have to think about as well. The purpose of basically what you're going to be doing going forward. I mean, some of you might consider even working abroad if you wanted to as well. Of course, the pay will be much lower, but there are those who become digital nomads, or they become English teachers as well. There are a number of different things you can do abroad thanks to technology. And you also have to think about how you're going to manage all of your finances from abroad as well, like your credit cards and like for example for us, our brokerage accounts, and also our rental property. We're going to have that handled because for our rental property we have a property manager, but there are some banks that have that sensitivity, just their security checks for those abroad. Sometimes they lock out your credit cards, so you got to watch out for that as well. And also when logging into your bank account from abroad, sometimes they do certain IP checks and they lock out your account, so you won't be able to access your account details. But I've heard some people who just have VPN, so they can mask their IP address, making it look like they're back home. But some people don't really have that issue, but that's just a tip that I can give you. And another point is whether or not you can adjust to the country. I mean, obviously there's going to be that language barrier. The majority of the countries you'll be going to probably won't be able to speak English, but most places, especially the tourist attractions, they have people there that do speak English quite fluently. But the majority of the country, like for example in Thailand, do not speak English. And because you're not able to speak the local language, obviously there's going to be some social isolation as well. So it's good to see whether or not there are any expat communities. I mean, there are those who do just hang out with the expat community, and yeah, they can speak their heart out if they wanted to in those communities. But there might be some of you who want to interact with the locals. But if that's the case, then you need to really take or consider taking language courses. But another thing you want to think about would be a way for you to contact your friends and families from overseas. But nowadays with technology, you can get free messenger apps like WhatsApp, and we're going to be using Line. to communicate with our family members and also our friends as well. But a lot of you who do have a lot of family and have a lot of friends might feel that social isolation. So, but if you do have some sort of hobby you can work on, like for me, I'm going to be working on my YouTube channel while I'm abroad. So I'm really looking forward to recording all the experiences and all the sites that I like to show you guys as well in the future. But you do want your family and friends to be in agreement with your lifestyle choice to move abroad overseas. I mean, some of them might disagree with you. Some of your friends might actually make fun of you because, well, there's a rumor going around, like for example, if you were to go to Thailand, that some people are considered losers and they're escaping to overseas, especially Southeast Asia, because they're not able to live a proper life in their own country. I don't think that's true at all. I mean, everyone has their own choices in life. If moving abroad is something you really want to do, that's your choice, and it shouldn't be anybody else's decision on what you want to do for the rest of your life. And plus, if your friends aren't really in agreement with what you're going to do, they're not really your friends, are they? And another point would be where after you figure out your withdrawal rate, the 4% rule, and you come out with a number of how much you're willing to spend per year on your annual expenses, then you can make a rough breakdown of all the countries you can potentially live in. I actually made a listing myself of all the countries I can live, for example, between the monthly costs of $1,000 to $1,500 and $1,500 to $2,000 and $2,000 to $2,500. So we can actually go up to about $3,000. So that's how much our withdrawal rate turned out to be. And another point you need to look at would be the requirements you need to live in a particular country. Every country has their rules and regulations that you have to follow. For example, the visa runs, or you can do border crossings. There's a ton of different visas you can apply for. There's also the there's a travel visa. There's also the student visa as well, and the retirement visa. A whole bunch. There's other requirements as well, like opening up a bank account or setting up electricity or the internet or cable television in that local area as well. But yeah, I mean, you can do that all with technology. There's a lot of websites dedicated for expats where everything is pretty much in English. So you wouldn't have an issue setting up what you want from overseas. Thank God for technology. And probably the last point, and there's probably a ton more things to think about, but I think this is another point I should bring up, is your pets as well. If you have a dog or a cat or any other kind of pet, you'll need to think about how you're going to bring them abroad as well. Some of you may not and might not have to go through an adoption service. There's a bit of a process there. But of course, if you want to bring your pets along, I mean, your pets are kind of like your family. Like they're a family member. So in some cases, it's a hard decision. But considering all those points I just discussed, and you feel that the pros outweigh the cons, then yeah, just go through all of those points in detail to see if you can figure out whether or not you can sustain yourself and your partner overseas. You might have children as well. People actually go overseas to live a different kind of lifestyle, and you always have a choice as well. If you don't particularly like a country, you can actually move on to another country, or you can actually go home as well. It's just easier for some people than others to do so, to just hop from one country to the next. But some of you may want to just go during the winter season, as an example, and become snow geese. So, and come back during the summer season if you wanted to. I think I will end my vlog here today. If you are considering moving overseas, maybe you can share some of some other points that I may have missed. I know I probably missed a lot of other points. And just leave a comment in the comment section below. I would very much appreciate it. But if you like this vlog, please don't forget to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell for more of my coming content here. Thank you for watching my vlog. I hope you have a great day and see you soon.